Hi, I'm Brandon McCormick, founder and filmmaker at Whitestone Motion Pictures, and we are just a few days from releasing the final version of Lest We Forget, our latest film. And I wanted to record a kind of a little bit of a tutorial on how I chose to color the film using Final Cut Pro Color. So hopefully that'll be of help to you. A little disclaimer here, I don't know what I'm doing. I just kind of figure it out as I go along just by pressing buttons. So if I call something the wrong thing or I do it wrong, you're just going to have to get over it and deal with it. So the process usually will happen is that I will edit the film, get it to lock picture, send it off to Nick to do the sound and the music, and while he's doing that, I'll bring it into Final Cut Pro Color to color grade it. So it'll just be a normal file, send to color, and then it loads in here. This is the locked picture. This is the entire film. I've actually colorized the entire thing already. But I'm going back now and showing you a little sequence here to give you a little tutorial. So I've picked a few shots here in the beginning. I'll play them. Just kind of some action shots here. This is straight out of the camera, right out of the Cine Alta. And, you know, you can see all kinds of, that was about it. You can see all kinds of discrepancies. Some stuff's brighter than other stuff, different times of day. That's really bright. And so what I wanted to do was to pick kind of a color that'll have some kind of an antique type vibe. So we wanted to go very browns and yellows and stuff like that. So first I need to turn on my music, which is always TV on the radio. Return to Cookie Mountain. That's the music I always color grade to. All right. If it bothers you, you're gonna have to just get over it. And so here we go. I will. This is the first shot. It's actually has a little bit of a set in here already. But you have to think of color in three phases. You've got primary ins, you've got your secondaries, and then you've got your primary out. And so everything builds on each other. So your primary in is I usually use for color correction to try to get something back to its most basic colors. I use the secondaries to bring out some kind of cool vibe to it. And then I'll use the primary out to do the final tweaking and to make it the final vibe for the film. So in this one I haven't really touched the primary ends. Usually I'll just use a luma curve here and bring in some contrast, bring in a little bit of brightness. Also, you may not like the way I do things. There's a lot of different ways of doing it. I like high contrast stuff. I like very clean and clear looking stuff. So let's try to find a spot where it's not all blurry. Right there. Alright, so then I'll go into my secondaries, and everything in this film was shot very green. Everything was very green because we're shooting in the middle of summer. And I wanted to make it kind of like an antique sepia type vibe. So what I did was I brought into the secondaries. You can have 8 different layers of secondaries. So what I did here was I took the hue curve and I took this little green line right here and I screwed it all up. And so you can see here that this is the original here. And then by changing the hue of the green, it goes all the way up and makes this kind of yellowy vibe that I really like. So I'm going to hit Shift Apple M, which will change the type of playback mode here, and spacebar should just loop this frame here. So that's a lot more of the sepia type color. And then I'll go to my primary out, where I have a pre-made filter here ready, where I add a lot more contrast here in the luma curve. So you can see again here, this is where it's at, and then I bring down some of this contrast, make it a little sharper. I've got the highlight, I've brought the highlight over, so the highlights are a little more orange, just kind of adding more to that vibe, so heading this direction. And then I brought the saturation over here down as well, so it's very, very orange. Bringing it down kind of makes it a pleasant type color there. So that, to me, looks pretty rad. And obviously, I'd go through a couple phases of each shot to make sure it's right, but for today, we're just going to do a quick pass to not waste anyone's time. Next shot here is kind of a simple shot, very short. We dealt with a lot of little tiny shots here, so it was kind of hard to, very important that they all match, but also very hard to color match them all because they move so quickly. Primary in, again, I'm not going to do a whole lot to the primary in, maybe tweak some of the luma, maybe some of the highlights, so save the big stuff for afterwards. So here I've already changed the, again, the hue, kind of done the same thing here, so that's your green, that's out of the camera, and now we're going to take it all away and kind of make it more of a yellowy type thing. I also add a lot of vignettes because I'm kind of a vignette poor. I love vignettes. That's my fault, and you know, that's just something I do. But basically, it's just putting a matte around here and using the outside to bring the darkness and the contrast down. If you don't like it, you know, some people hate it, some people love it. I'm one of those guys that love it. I'm sure I'll look back in 10 years and laugh at how many vignettes I've been on all my crap because it's stupid. And primary out, and we'll grab that. And again, it's put a lot of the highlights into the yellows and browns, and crush some of the contrast here, and taking some of the contrast or the saturation out. That one's a little too much there, but you kind of get the picture there. So from there it is. So it's now this is where it really starts to take shape and kind of get really exciting. So I'll do another one here. I've used a lot of presets already that I saved from earlier sections. Kind of speeds up the process for today. But here you go. And then again, we're gonna take away those greens. Very, very green in that shot. Take a lot of that away. Primary out. And then we just, again, add contrast, bring the brightness up, make it very contrasty. Take the highlights, and you've got a really bright look there. And we'll do this last one for one. This one's really bright, so I'm gonna have to take some of that down. So we take the greens out, primary out, and bring a lot of the highlight down here as well. Now, if I wanted just to take this section darker and not manipulate this section, I could go into the secondaries, add another layer, enable it, bring in a vignette here over this section. Make sure the softness is up, control the inside of the vignette, and then I can just deal with the highlights in that section. So you can see, obviously, if I go too far, it looks stupid, but you can see there, I can just start tweaking it and bring the color down. You can see the difference between there and there. That takes a lot of fine tuning to get just right, but it definitely pays off in the end. Obviously, your best bet is to do it right in the camera in the first time. You don't ever want to do something where you go, oh, we'll just shoot that, we'll just fix it in color, even though I have been guilty of that in the past. The best thing to do is obviously to get your exposure right on set. The better an image you give color, the better your output will be. So your first pass at color grading is going to be on set. This is just kind of pushing it into the final realm, and I love to make stuff very magical and mystical. That's just kind of what I do. So there you have it. This little sequence right there. I didn't get that one last one, but that's all right. And now it's looking a little bit more kind of the vibe that I wanted to go after in the first place. That one's not done, but and you can see some other shots here that are kind of done the same way. And there you have it. So a quick Final Cut color tutorial. I will hopefully do some more in the future, and maybe do another one about the end of the film later, but you can't see it yet because it's not up yet. So hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, let me know, and I'm sure this will spark all kinds of great conversation and arguments. If you know something better, if you know how to do something better than I do, please share it. I love to learn. So if you're a professional out there doing this thing and you see that I'm doing something really stupid and wrong, let me know. Drop it in the comments and I'll be sure to argue with you. All right. Thanks for watching. See ya.